afternoon and welcome to Chats with Kathe. Gina is somebody that I met a while ago, and I asked her if she'd be willing to share a little bit of her experience with us, her transition, what she's done about her voice, and other heart and soul things that are beautifully Gina. One of the things that I love about you is you have such a deep, spirit sense of yourself. We were chatting a little bit before we went live here, and goodness sakes, life can just hit us hard. And you have a beautiful way of living your life. You have a wonderful philosophy. So let's get started first. Gina, introduce yourself. Tell us anything you'd like to know about you.
Thank you very much, Kathe. Well, I've recently left the biotech industry. I have a PhD. And I was really a scientific type of person. And since my transition, which has probably been over the last year, I've really become a kind of a softer, warmer person and kind of philosophical, as Kathe was alluding to. And I just enjoy my life so much better. It's unbelievable. And so I've also learned when I was in executive positions to help other people develop. And so that actually helped me, but it also gave me a new career.
Yeah, was there a moment in your life where there was like this crisis that you had to dig deep and say, well, who am I really and what is it I'm gonna do about me?
Yes, so, but it wasn't like a traumatic thing, it was a gradual thing. So what I was doing was spending more and more time as Gina. And as I did that, I started to feel different. Now, being a PhD, I'm always thinking and making lists and very analytical. And this was a new feeling. So I was like, I'm kind of liking this. And so then I connected it with being Gina. And so I started to talk to a therapist about this to try and understand this better. And just like went through the whole story of my life. And I reached a point where I just said, I'm sure this is me. This is the authentic person. And I have to do a transition.
One of the things is, that I get involved with a lot with my clientele are heart and soul issues. So tell us about your voice. When did it become, I've got to do something about this voice. It doesn't fit my essence.
Well, I think it's first started because I used to be very project management oriented. I made a list of all the things I needed to do to have a successful transition. And so since I really felt this is my true self, I wanted to do everything that I could to be the best Gina I could be. And so I really thought it was important, listening to other YouTubes and people who had changed their voice, that I knew it was possible. So I just said, well, I have to figure out what the best way to do it is. And I think it was really not so much a feeling of something missing from me as trying to be the best woman I could be.
I love that you said that because it's curious to me, and I don't have judgments because it's not my place to judge, but it is curious to me that that women don't work on their voices, but I do get everybody gets to be themselves. But do you have an opinion about transgender women who put it all together except for the voice?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I know some people that have done a big part of their transition, but not their voice. And I think it's because of their life situation, usually. It's not like a laziness or it could be, in some cases, they're not aware that they can really change it. But I think in some cases where they still have to present as a male, or they're switching back and forth, and they really can't lose that. So I think it's the life situation more than just somebody not wanting to do it. Part of the life situation is also the job, that they have. And I know that there's some that are really not confident that they could change it enough to be accepted, with the change.
So would you say at this point in time that when you speak, it is this voice of your soul that speaks instead of his voice?
I think that's true. I think it's, again, the whole package, the way I dress. And, I get comments when I go out, and nobody has ever looked at me strangely when I've been out talking to people and just doing my business. So I think there's also a an energy thing of, how you present yourself. And as I was getting closer and closer to the end of my transition, I started to feel this, I don't know, this warmth, the feeling I had originally when this was a good feeling is like multiplied, and the voice is part of it. So when I speak, it magnifies that feeling. And so I think you're definitely right. It is like either triggering or driven by that essence. And I think that that would be one of the reasons why someone should go and work on their voice, because that's kind of a side benefit that I didn't expect.
Because one of the things that I have heard a lot is I had no idea it was going to take this much work. I underestimated my ability, where some people come very confidently into it and only to hear themselves and think, holy smokes, no wonder I'm getting CERT on the phone. Do you remember having, I'm going to use the word block because I can't think of another one. Do you remember during your voice training that you had a block or a place that you felt stuck, where you knew you could be closer to the essence of you and it wasn't quite coming together yet?
I did. It was, I was getting really frustrated. Again, it was kind of like my old self was coming back and being critical. It's like, why can't you get this? What's your problem? And I'm like, and I think what helped was I kind of calmed down and not become so self-critical. And I think then the whole thing with the transition is this whole thing about loving yourself. And I don't think I had that engaged strongly enough. So when I was like, I forgave myself for not seeming to make progress. And I said, it's all going to work out. It's just taking a little longer. And that kind of was the trigger to make me feel very different about what I was doing. And that's when I made the progress. When I forgave myself for not like doing it really fast and, like overachieving. And I think really that was the turning point for me.
Because you were actually pretty quick with a lot of the basics, and everybody I coach, just about everybody, has a block, has a moment like you had. And I love what you just said, that you forgave yourself for not being perfect about it. One of the things that I've noticed in this particular community is I call her poly-perfect. Boy, is she alive and well in so many people. And what poly-perfect is really, is she's crippling. And so the heart and soul part, going internally, self-love, self-forgiveness, I think opens up a place in us so that choices become more obvious. What are the ways that you stay open? So when you are afraid or you are self-critical or you are hard on yourself, how do you shift internally so your heart stays open?
I think the thing that helps me the most, because, things change every day and things get thrown at you every day you have to deal with. And so you need some kind of anchor, some place to go. And what I usually do is go back to situations that I had where I had a similar feeling, but I overcame them. So it's kind of like using your own reference of, well, last time this happened, I did this, or I know somebody who was dealing with this and this is what they did. So you don't feel like totally lost. You feel that you have some capacity within you that you've already used, and it's like trying not to forget it and bring it to work for you in the new situation.
One of the things that you, when we were chatting earlier, one of the things that you said was make decisions more from your heart and less from your brain. And I think that's what you're saying, is you're trying to get to a place that is, because we can overthink things to death. When your brain gets active like that, is there I know you meditate, is there a particular thing or series of things you do to calm your mind down so that your heart stays open?
Well, actually, there's something that I do all the time. I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and it's becoming present. Stop thinking and just be. And there was a quote somebody said, we call ourselves human beings, but we're really human doers. We don't be. And that's the whole thing, is you just stop and just be, and the answer will come easier. And so I just learned that from, again, I got led to him by somebody, can't remember who, and I just do that every day.
Was there is there parts of the old you, the old personality, that feel like they take over? Because I know we've done some work, and you do so much of this inner feminine, how you move, how you reach for something, how you just experience femininity. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm laughing because it's a constant struggle. There's always these little things that come in, like signing up for too much, putting too much on your plate, being impatient, wanting things done sooner. And it's funny though, because with presence, with this whole power now thing, you become the observer of that. You see yourself thinking that or doing something. You go, wait a minute, what are you doing? And it's like, it's a constant struggle. I really think that I would say not even a transgender person, but anybody who's trying to break an old habit or a routine, you're always going to get pulled back into that behavior. And so I think that's kind of a trick that I use. But yes, it happens all the time because you're trying to deal with life in the best way, and you have these old habits that keep coming back in.
One of the things that I loved about your voice training and watching you through that, if I could be bold to say, many of the people that I work with go about training their voices with the toolkit they had from before. Nothing wrong with that. But what I loved about you is you got very into your feminine, how you move, how you tilt your head. And you said it earlier, it was like just the door needed to open so Gina could walk through it. It wasn't so much that you had to dig deep in your soul and find her. She just actually needed to be shown the door and kind of go on in. So many people listening to this will keep thinking it's about a technique, a strategy, and I actually teach that, and I believe that. But really what it's about, not one more technique, not one more book, not one more thing will do it. It's going inside. So what are some other tips that you would give somebody who's really struggling with her voice and how to bring her feminine out to meet that tone?
I think that the whole thing is to not overthink it, to not think, to really feel. I think that was the one thing that gave me the most progress in my whole transition, was going back to feeling. And it's this whole, your brain is struggling with your heart. Use your heart more, because the heart has intelligence, but people turn it off. And when you stop thinking and go with your feelings, in these types of situations, I think you make more progress. Because, for instance, a couple of years ago, I was learning to dance. And, my PhD mind was always trying to analyze the steps and, like be an analysis. And the instructor goes, you can't think your way into dancing. You have to feel it. Feel the music, feel the rhythm, feel your partner, all that stuff. And I think that applies here, because you can't think your way into a new voice.
Are you happy now? Are you at peace with who you are and where your life is?
I think I need another word besides happy. I can't explain it. I feel almost euphoric that I'm this wonderful person that I had hidden all these years. And I don't look back and say, oh, I wish I'd done it sooner. It's like, I'm so glad I did it. And I'm like thrilled. And what that does is it carries over into the contact you have with people. They sense that. They sense your happiness, and they're just like drawn to you. And then that gives me feedback. And then it's like, so every day there's something, people say nice things. I help them with something, and I get these nice notes. It's just beautiful. And, it's just thrilling, actually, is the word I would say. Be kind to yourself and forgive yourself for not being quick or being perfect, because it's okay. And, just the fact is that if you stay with it long enough, and you'll get there. And as long as you think you're going to get there, then you have some hope.
And what is the price of hope? It's just one day at a time. Thank you so kindly, Gina. It's a pleasure to see you again. You look gorgeous. Thanks, Gina.
Bye.